Monster Hunter isn't a franchise that picks its subtitles on a whim. They always coincide with the theme or gameplay of the title. World was chosen to reflect the series' shift away from a Japanese audience and make it more appetizing to a global crowd, whilst Rise was to reflect the verticality of the game with tools like the wire bug and wall climbing. But what about Wilds? There's nothing inherently wild about the gameplay, nor does it offer boundless exploration and discovery. For me at least, the key lies in the new Elite Four monsters, the Apexes. See, in Generations and World, there were 4 key monsters that played a significant role in the endgame of the stories. This concept returns in Wilds with the Apexes of each region, Rei Dao, Uth Duna, New Udra, and Jind Dead. These 4 monsters embody the theme of nature that Wilds is trying to convey, because these 4 aren't the top predators of their biomes because they've conquered their harsh landscape, but because they are their harsh landscape. Wilds introduces weather for the first time in the series, with the maps changing depending on the time, and the Apex monsters greatly benefit from these extreme conditions by making their boss fights much tougher. They are the living embodiments of the Wilds, as much a part of the land as the weather itself. Rei Dao acts as a lightning rod during the Sand-Tide storms, storing the thunder in its body and allowing it to unleash different and more devastating attacks. The storms are also what makes Rei Dao the apex of the Windward Plains, as the lightning stored in its body emits a high-frequency sound only audible to monsters that puts them on high alert and warns them to stay away. This is how Rei Dao keeps the balance of the Windward Plains, as without a guild presence in the Forbidden Lands, the untamed power of the monsters would spiral out of control. But Rei Dao uses the ecology of the plains itself to maintain a sense of order in the world, showing how it's the wild itself that the hunters had to conquer in order to colonize and research the Forbidden Lands. Similarly, Uth Duna uses the strength of the Scarlet Forest's downpour to establish its dominance over the region. Its skin secretes a gelatinous substance that, when mixed with rainwater, creates the luminous fins that serves as the apex's armor. These fins also add a tremendous weight to Uth Duna, so that when it slams its body against the ground, it creates devastating shockwaves that wash away hunters. Like Rei Dao, Uth Duna's power comes from the unique climate it's raised in, and its strength is at its zenith when the weather is also at its most intense point. Again, Uth Duna is using the wild itself to protect its ecosystem, establishing how the hunters have to battle against not just the monsters, but the environment itself. New Udra, however, is different from the last 2, as it doesn't benefit from the shift in climate, it creates it. The oil well basin produces enough oil to make an American military general harder than a Basarios. But New Udra is the monster that ignites that oil, and its unique skin makes it impervious to the flames. This changes the relationship of the monster and the environment, as New Udra is the one in control of the land instead of the other way around. It still benefits the basin, as if the oil built up too much it would become uninhabitable, but it also puts everything there at the mercy of the apex. This is why New Udra is the only apex to directly attack its biome settlement, because it's the one calling the shots, not the wilds. But still, like the others, New Udra literally becomes one with the climate, incorporating its unique environment with its moveset, and without the benefits of the oil, New Udra's threat instantly vanishes. This is similar to Jind Dead, who doesn't just endure the cold of the ice-shard cliffs, it literally becomes it. Jind Dead's armor plates harvest the cold air produced by the frost winds, which it then unleashes with its blizzard attacks from its mouth and of the ice walls it forms. What's more is that since its claws are made of the same material, it can lodge them into the ice, allowing for the jaw-dropping perspective shifts this battle offers. Jind Dead is the first monster to physically use its environment as part of its battle, reinforcing the idea that the hunters are battling the terrain itself, literally becoming an extension of the ice cliffs themselves as it runs along the walls and transitions from arena to arena, making for Monster Hunter's most cinematic hunt to date. What makes these apexes interesting is that without the wilds themselves, they're incredibly weak and generic monsters, because they won't have access to the unique feature that makes each one a standout hunt worthy of Wild's Elite Four. They're the apex of their area because they've become one with it, and weaponize their terrain to make them more effective predators, showing that for monsters, becoming the strongest isn't about overcoming nature, but controlling it, something we as hunters openly defy. While this makes each of them a standout fight here in Wilds, it does raise the question of how these monsters could return in future titles, or perhaps these four are doomed to the same fate as Cetus and are unable to return due to their unique design. For more Monster Hunter essays, here's one about how Wilds finally showed Rathalos the respect he deserved, and I'll be back in 2 days.